We've started off 2026 with some great drill results, and we're expecting to have a steady stream of drill results right through the year. So if you look at our historical kind of news flow, every 4 to 6 weeks, we will typically put drill results out to the market. So we've got drill holes in the assay lab today. As those come back, we'll get them out to the market. So we'll have a continued flow of drill results through 2026.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Assay TV. Today I am joined by Luke Alexander, who's the President, CEO and Director of Newcore Gold, who will be joining us for our annual one-to-one event in Cape Town. In anticipation of some exciting work that Newcore has been doing, Luke, let's start by unpacking who is Newcore Gold, and more specifically, tell us about your Enchi Gold project in Ghana.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. So our Enchi Gold project in Ghana, it's a district scale exploration project that's fundamentally underpinned by very robust economics that we outlined in a 2024 PEA, preliminary economic assessment. We're now taking that from a PEA and advancing it to a PFS, a pre-feasibility study, which we were looking to get out in the first half of this year. And we expect that that will outline very robust economics for the project. It will have also significantly de-risked the project from a PEA stage to a PFS stage. Typically, what you see from a market perspective is a re-rate in the stock as companies de-risk their projects along the development path. So from PEA to PFS to FS. So we're very excited about getting that out in the middle of this year. But also, we're in the midst of a 45,000 meter drill program. So we are aggressively drilling across our project, and we think that that can create a tremendous amount of return for shareholders. In terms of Newcore, we are listed on the TSX Venture Exchange as well as the OTCQX in the US. So we trade in both in Canada, the US, as well as in Germany. And then management and board. I think it's crucial to highlight that there's very strong alignment between the management team and shareholders. We own 15% of the company, and this is stock that we've bought alongside investors over the last number of years. So there's true alignment from that perspective. So district scale exploration, fundamentally underpinned by very robust economics that we outlined in a PEA, which we think will create a lot of value by moving to a PFS. And then true shareholder alignment from a board and management perspective, as well as we're very strongly supported by deep-pocketed, long-term focused institutional investors. So 55% institutionally owned, as well as we have 3 investment banks who cover us from a research perspective. So at a high level, that's Newcore and that's our Enchi project.
Now, Luke, strong economics, strong business, great jurisdiction as well. Now, we're here today to speak specifically about your 45,000 meter drill program that you referred to at Enchi. What are the strategic goals of doing this program, and how does it align with your vision for unlocking value at Enchi?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at our 45,000 meter drill program, one of the things that we highlighted is that about 30,000 of that 45, so 2/3 of the program, was focused on resource conversion. So moving ounces from the inferred category into the indicated. So increasing the confidence in the overall resource. Main reason for focusing on that with the first 2/3 of our drill program is that you need to have indicated ounces to feed our pre-feasibility study, which we're putting out in the middle of this year. And that's also one of the reasons why the market typically pays a higher multiple and values PFS stage projects at a higher valuation is, again, partly because of that de-risking from a resource perspective. So with that initial 30,000 meters, that was the focus. We think we've now completed the drilling required to convert the ounces for the PFS. And with the additional 15,000 meters, we're back to focusing on pure resource expansion. So stepping out along strike, growing the near surface resource that we've got and mineral endowment that we've got at surface, going back to previously drill tested areas where we've made discoveries in the past that we want to get back to and look to over time, grow the overall endowment or mineralized footprint to add it to our global resource. And then lastly, we're also back to diamond drilling for the first time, focused on some deeper high-grade shoots that we've identified across our project. And we're very excited to get back and drilling at those, because that's an opportunity to really highlight the mid to long-term growth potential of our project.
Now, I know, Luke, when we start talking about some high-grade areas, some areas that are really going to be economically very robust, in your case, you have a particular deposit that I think you want to talk about a little bit more. And that's specifically around deeper diamond drill results, from what I understand is your Boeing deposit at Enchi. Tell us about those results at that specific deposit.
So Boeing is one of 5 resource areas that fed our resource that went into our PEA. So it's our second largest deposit on our project. We have identified a number of other targets across the project, as well as previously drilled tested areas. But in terms of Boeing specifically, our second largest deposit on the project, we put out some results early January, and they were just great results. It's the first set of diamond results that we've put out in the last number of years. And again, targeting these high-grade feeder zones that we've identified across the project. So specifically at Boeing, from a results perspective, we intercepted 174 grams over a meter. That's our 4th best grade meter intercept ever on the project. We also, within those drill results, we intercepted 3.5 grams over 23 meters. Within that, almost 7 grams over 8 meters. So again, those types of results really highlight that mid to long-term potential for the project in terms of growing the overall size of the resource with these high-grade shoots that we've identified across the project. In terms of those results specifically, it's still only about 1,700 meters, only 5 holes that we put out, and a lot of those holes were concentrated on a relatively small area, so about 300 meters. So one of these high-grade plunging shoots that we've identified. To put that in perspective, we've so far identified a mineralized footprint or a strike of about 6 kilometers at Boeing. It does remain open along strike, so the overall structure we think is about 15 kilometers in length. So needless to say, lots of opportunity for us to continue to drill these high-grade feeder zones. And that's Boeing. Sium's our largest deposit. We've had great results from Nyam, Quachikrum. So there's lots of opportunity for us to systematically chase these structures across the project. But obviously, Boeing as a starting point from a diamond drill perspective is an area of focus for us.
Now, Luke, obviously, you've just highlighted how lucrative Boeing could be. So is there a reason why you chose that specific area to drill at depth to begin with? And does your team believe that Enchi as a whole, I think, would follow a similar geological pattern as some of its neighbors, which I believe include Newmont's Hafo mine and Asante's Bibiani and Chirano mines as well?
Yeah, so if you look at these greenstone hosted deposits along the Sequi Bibiani belt, so you have 2 prolific gold belts in Ghana. You've got the Ashanti belt, some of the largest deposits on the planet discovered there, including Oboesi at 66 million ounces, Tarkwa at 25 million ounces. We're just to the west of that on the Sequi Bibiani belt. We've got great neighbors along trend from us, and this again speaks to the district scale exploration on our project. Just to the north of us on the same Bibiani shear, you've got the Chirano mine. That's sitting at a 5.5 million ounce endowment. To the north of that, Bibiani at 6.5 million ounces. And then Newmont's Ahafo mine, where they've just invested another $1 billion into it. It's sitting at 20 million ounces and growing. So we're on that same trend, and we've just scratched the surface from a drill perspective. If you look at all of the drilling that's been done on the project to date, it only averages about 100 meters in depth. If you look at the average vertical depth of the pits that capture our resource today, it's only about 80 meters. So really the drilling to date has been focused on that near surface oxide material that ultimately is feeding our economic study. Where we're excited is we have started with about 45 historic holes. We've started to identify these high-grade shoots, and now we're following up on that. It's important to highlight that when we talk about deeper drilling on our project, we're still only targeting about 200 to 300 meters below surface, which anyone who follows the mining sector will recognize that that is still relatively shallow. And maybe to put that in perspective, if you look at Chirano, again, our closest neighbor in Ghana, they are currently today underground mining at 800 meters below surface. They've drilled down to 1.1 to 1.2 kilometers. So needless to say, with our average vertical drill depth of only 100 meters, that's one of the things that really excites us in terms of the growth potential that we can prove out as we drill out these high-grade shoots at our Boyne deposit, but also at Sium, Nyam, Tokasea, Nkwanta, as well as the other 15 to 20 targets we've identified across the project.
Luke, for any long-standing person in the industry, especially an investor, they'll know or tell you that if you're surrounded by really robust, good producing mines, profitable mines like Ahafo, like Bibiani, then it's all systems looking good for your project as well. So naturally, drilling needs to continue. That's what you're busy with. What would you tell investors about what to expect from additional drilling? I think you kind of outlined this, but just cement that message. What are investors looking to hear from you with regards to drilling outcomes moving forward?
I'll try to summarize it quickly. So our 45,000 meter drill program, the initial 30,000 meters was focused on that resource conversion. Yes, we went back to some previously drill tested areas. Yes, we did a little bit of step out, but really the primary focus was resource conversion. We feel that based on our internal modeling that we have now converted the ounces that we want for the PFS. So that's now done. With this additional 15,000 and this set of results that we put out early January from Boyne, 1,700 meters, that would be pure resource expansion drilling with a focus within that 15,000 meters on diamond drilling and targeting these high-grade feeder zones that exist across our project that we think can create a tremendous amount or add a tremendous amount of resource over time. One interesting thing that I haven't highlighted is one of our analysts put together a really interesting piece looking at Newmont's Ahafo mine sitting at 20 million ounces today and the Chirano mine sitting to the north of us about 40 kilometers away. And from when those two mines put out their initial reserves, their published reserves, they've grown 6.5 and 5 times respectively. And the bulk of that resource growth has come from the high-grade feeder zones that they've identified across the project. So again, from a mid to long-term perspective for Newcore, there's an opportunity for us to highlight a significant amount of growth potential by proving out these high-grade feeder zones that we've started to identify on our project. So that's where the bulk of the additional 15,000 meters of drilling is focused. And we're extremely excited to be, for the first time in a number of years, able to target and drill those areas.
Look, Luke, this is great. Obviously, this project has legs that will take it well into the future. But the immediate question that actually comes to mind at this point in time is your funding situation. Are you funded to take this project through the PFS and also complete your 45,000 meter drilling program?
Access to capital is critical for any exploration company. I mean, you can have the best exploration project on the planet, but if you can't fund it, then you can't generate the results to move the project forward. So it's a critical element for any project. We're extremely fortunate at Newcore to be backed by deep-pocketed, long-term focused institutional investors. As I highlighted, we currently sit at 55% institutional ownership. If you look at our cash position, our last published cash position at the end of September, we had $10 million, almost $11 million in the bank. We also have about 20 million warrants that are well in the money, about 60% in the money today. We have started to see those warrants coming in. That will bring in an additional $10 million of cash. So we've got the cash in the bank plus another 10 million of warrant proceeds coming in. And what that additional money will allow us to do is potentially expand our drill program well beyond 45,000 meters. We'll be able to start looking at some of the feasibility work that will look to get completed after the PFS. So we're funded for our 45,000 meters, our PFS. We're funded for that with the cash in the bank today. And then we've got an additional 10 million that we expect to come in between now and the end of February. Again, warrants well in the money, and that will allow us to expand our drill program well beyond the 45,000 meters and more aggressively unlock that district scale exploration across our project.
Undoubtedly a strong project, a good story that you're telling today, and it seems like the way forward in terms of prosperity and progress is very clear. Luke, if you clearly have started with a very busy 2026, and that momentum is clearly on a trajectory of good things to come. If you could close out this interview with some key catalysts that are going to happen in the next couple of months moving forward that investors should know, what would you say?
As you highlighted, we've started off 2026 with some great drill results, and we're expecting to have a steady stream of drill results right through the year. So if you look at our historical kind of news flow, every 4 to 6 weeks, we will typically put drill results out to the market. So we've got drill holes in the assay lab today. As those come back, we'll get them out to the market. So we'll have a continued flow of drill results through 2026. We're also then doing a lot of work in the background in terms of getting ready to commission our PFS. So we'll look to commission that PFS in Q1. We'll look to have it completed in the first half of this year. So that includes metallurgical work, geotech work, hydrological work, a lot of the boring stuff that is part of the reason, projects at a PFS stage command a higher multiple is because of all that de-risking that has ultimately happened. So, that will then feed the PFS, which will culminate in publishing of a PFS in the first half of this year, towards the end of the first half. And if you look at when we put out our PEA, that was a major catalyst for the company. The stock moved up aggressively on very strong volume. I'd encourage people to go look back at the impact that had. And that's where we're excited as shareholders of the business and management of the business, is that putting out that PFS with strong economics could be a real re-rate catalyst for the company. But obviously, we could wake up tomorrow and find out that we've had additional great drill results, which then can be an additional catalyst for the company. So drill results and then a PFS in the middle of this year will be the main catalysts for the next 6 months. And then beyond that, assuming we end up with the economics that we're expecting, I would expect we start to focus on a full feasibility study and then we'll start to look ahead towards construction and production within the next 3 years, within the next 2 to 3 years.
Fantastic. Luke, very clear, as I said from the start, a strong project, strong economics and figures. I know that, and in a great jurisdiction and in a commodity that is really shining in terms of its price. Long may that last, and a very clear time frame and timeline in terms of what you're doing that I know our audience is going to appreciate. So thank you very much for sharing this exciting news, and we look forward to watching what Newcore does during the course of this year, and we will see you at 1-to-1 in Cape Town in just a few weeks.
Thank you very much, Laura, and we'll look forward to catching up with you at the 1-to-1 conference in Cape Town.
Such a pleasure, Luke. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.